Fascination with the new generation of 3D filmmaking continues and has now reached Australian shores. The 3D film Sanctum was made on the Gold Coast and tells the story of a group of divers trapped in an underwater cave.
Blockbuster movie maker James Cameron, who knows a little bit about water-based productions, was the executive producer, but the film was produced and co-written by Andrew Wright and directed by Alistair Grierson, and they join us now in the studio. Andrew Wright, Alistair Grierson, congratulations, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Andrew, can I start with you? This comes from a story of your own experience.
Well, yes, it was a little while ago now, but we were exploring a cave system in the Nullarbor in Western Australia, and it was one of those sort of Everest underground, if you will, and on the last day of the expedition we were hauling the gear out, and we had a freak storm. Well, storms now are very topical, I guess, and it flooded the cave entrance and it collapsed the inside of the cave, and 15 of us were trapped below ground, and it took nearly 2 days to get everyone out safely. So
this was a near-death experience, wasn't it?
Very much a near-death experience. You know, I was on a small ledge size of a dining room table, and the roof of the cave was inching ever closer down, and just the deafening sound of water and boulders all around, and it was one of those situations where you think your life is going to flash before your eyes, and it doesn't. You're just really transfixed on the situation, thinking, well, what is it going to feel like to die?
And a little part of you thinking, this would make a great movie.
Not until afterwards. It was really, at the time, it was, I reflected afterwards, and it was like, wow, what an amazing story of survival. You know, people, when we're pitted against nature, and you really have to work things out on your own, there's no rescue from above. How does that play out? And that's where the inspiration for the movie came.
And there was a lot of dramatic tension in the film. I saw the preview on Monday. A lot of dramatic tension about how the people involved there got out of it. Was it a similar situation in your rescue, or did cooler heads prevail on that occasion?
Well, the movie and the reality kind of depart company somewhat after the collapse, because ours... they were similar in the respect we had to explore a new way out of the cave, but the circumstances in which our movie finds the characters are very different, because I really wanted to explore what happens when you put people in extreme situations, what decisions of life and death they make, what moral dilemmas are posed, and how do the relationships and bonds forge to get those alliances to work together, and that's what the stuff of the movie is about.
Alistair Grierson, it must have been a very physical challenge for you, though, as director. You had to learn to dive. You had to be dive-rated, didn't you?
That's right. It was part of the cruelty of making the film. Jim and Andrew insisted that I kind of, learn some diving skills, and I think it was a great idea, and I enjoyed it. It was very challenging, but I did my open water ticket. John Garvin, the writer of the screenplay, taught me to dive. In fact, he was our dive master on the film and taught all the actors to dive. But on day 3 of my training, they put me in a cave in Mount Gambier, which was a challenging experience, but it was a wonderful experience. It's an amazing thing, diving in caves.
And how did you get all your actors to get into the right frame of mind? I mean, that's a claustrophobic, physically challenging environment, but at the same time they've got to be emoting and communicating to the audience.
Look, all credit to them. Richard Roxburgh is amazing. We've got one scene in the film, and if you remember, Neil, where the divers have to share a face mask, and this is a really challenging thing to do. It's 7 metres of water, and a full face mask where you've got to clear a couple of litres of water from your mask to breathe, and only one breath of water in, and really you're in big trouble. So we made sure we shot that on the last day of the film.
And they actually did that. I assume it was a special effect, but...
No. All of the actors learned to dive. Not only did they learn to scuba dive, they learned to dive with this very technical diving equipment called rebreathers, which is complicated, and quite dangerous. So they really stepped up to the challenge.
How did James Cameron get involved?
Well, I've been working with Jim for a decade now and made all the early 3D IMAX movies when we were developing the 3D camera system. So what eventually culminated in the technology to film Avatar, I was sort of a part of that from sort of ground zero, and then we literally used the same cameras from Avatar on our movie.
Right.
Came off that set, and so it's been a long collaboration. I guess, guys who like going on adventures and making films.
And like toys.
Yeah, lots of toys.
Do you think this was a film that would have been quite diminished if it wasn't shot in 3D?
I think it still works in 2D. I was watching the film print the other day, and I think the film print looks fabulous, but it's all about the story, and I think the story works, you know. And what people, I think they'll be really surprised by the film, because it is an action-adventure film, but really it's a drama, and the heart of it is a father-son story. And I think we've spent a lot of time sort of finessing that and make sure the story is, you know, kinetic and fast, and, you know, and it works well. And I think it works as a 2D film. Having said that, the 3D really enhances the experience. It really makes it a much more visceral experience, that real sense of being in the cave with the characters.
But it's not used as a gimmick. I mean, it's a sort of little like when we went from black and white to colour. You know, after a while, colour was commonplace, and people didn't say, well, are you going to make this movie in colour? It's like, I think you'll find that not in the too distant future, people will be saying, well, if it's not in 3D, it's not really a movie anymore.
The new CinemaScope, I guess.
Indeed, yes, indeed.
Andrew Wright, Alistair Grierson, congratulations again, and nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much.